Hello. In this video, we're going to take a detailed look at how to analyze and improve quality scores within Analysis. So first we want to go to our quality score overview screen. And we're first taking a high level look of just how the account is doing. What's our account quality score? We look at each subfactor. Are we above average or below average? And then we can graph this for the past year to see if we have a subfactor that a certain time had a big dip, because that would isolate a time frame we might want to analyze. Now, if we don't have that kind of a trend, then we can get further into looking at our keyword quality score analysis to understand how we're doing by impressions or conversions, so forth. Now, from an improvement standpoint, what you're often going to look at is the quality score subfactor analysis. So our keyword counts just say how many keywords do we have for each subfactor, and then is it below average or above average. If we look at impressions, we're often looking at, for our ads currently being served, where do we have the most red and then orange that we want to improve. Now that's for when we're being displayed. Secondly, we can look at our cost data to see how we're actually spending money and where we can make some monetary improvements. So what we're trying to look at is, do we need to focus on any one factor, or is it a combination of all of them? Now we can see at a high level our ad group level impressions, but what we're often going to do is jump to analyze the ad groups. Here we'll show you the priority order to look at ad groups. Your quality score, your weekly change, again we could graph these, and then our impression weighted subfactors. Now we put them in a priority order based on your cost and your impression weighted quality score. So by looking at this top level, you'll know that here to improve it, we have a great CTR, so we're going to work on a little bit of relevance, a little bit of landing pages. Here we'd work more on landing pages. So then we could jump into an individual ad group and start looking at the individual keywords that need to be changed. Now, what we're often really thinking about, though, as we go account level to ad group to keyword, is do we have an expected CTR issue? Right, if we have expected CTR, we need to increase our click-through rate while hopefully maintaining our conversion rates. So this is where getting into multi-ad group testing is really useful. Right, multi-ad group testing aggregates data across ad groups. So it's a real simple system to use where we can choose where we want to examine data. So if you have different types of campaigns, this is brand, this is non-brand, so forth, as you're looking at your quality scores, what you really want to think about is, our brand has a great CTR, we want to look at non-brand, or we want to look at these two campaigns. So we could label the campaigns and only segment this test by that campaign. And then what do we want to analyze? So for instance, I'm just going to run a quick sample test. We'd want to look and say, okay, here are more common patterns. What patterns have better CTRs while still maintaining good conversion rates? This is where conversion per impression is really useful, because it looks at our CTR and our conversion rate sort of simultaneously. And so we may run several of these tests to understand when we use this type of an ad, this call to action, this word, so forth, we get better CTRs. If you want a quick overview of all your text patterns, you can jump to that to get an idea of what you're using for looking at your multi-ad group tests. And so that first step is saying, all right, if we need to increase CTR, what lines are doing best for us? Now, if our issue isn't CTR, we see we've got a lot of ad relevance issues, then there's a couple things, again, we want to look at. Number one, do we have ad groups where some of our keywords are below average and some above average with a lot of impressions? This means that Google doesn't believe this keyword is going to do well with this ad, So in a case like you've got a mixed number, you might end up taking those keywords, moving them to a new ad group, and then creating ads more relevant to those particular keywords. Now, if everything is below average ad relevance, you could just write new ads in the ad group. So what we might want to do then is, again, come back to our ad groups. Now we could filter and say, show me places where my ad relevance is above average, right? And apply that. And here's my ad groups doing really well at relevance. So then I could look at some of these ad groups, the keywords to ads, to get an idea of what kind of patterns and text we need to use to make Google sort of happier from an ad relevance standpoint. Now, lastly, if your issue is landing pages, right, then we'll often go to our landing page data. And it's often not a landing page problem. It's a landing page per keyword issue. So we'll aggregate, right, a landing page, how many ad groups where it's being used, and then what are the keywords with above average, average, and below average landing page experience for a page. So then we might want to look at these and say, what's the overall theme for the keywords that are poor to this page? And can we move it to a new page, or do we need to create a page? So we can always download this data, do sort of something in Excel saying, hey, design team, can we get a page for this and a page for this? And that would help out. Again, you might also want to look at what keywords are doing well, and then look at the landing pages to keywords to see what's doing well. Now, sometimes the issue just happens to be page speed. So if you click on the icons, we'll load up Google PageSpeed Insights so that you can get an idea of your page speed data, because it might be that it's not the content that's bad, it's just the page speed that needs some help. So then with ad relevance, it's often organization if it's sort of mixed. With landing pages, is create landing pages. With ad relevance and CTR, ad testing is super useful. So then if, right, we've done some multi-ad group analysis, we have an idea of the new types of ads we need to run, what those look like. We can either go to those ad groups, pause some ads, create some new ads, and continue testing. If we have a larger account or we have a lot of templated ads, there's another way to do this. We go to our ad groups. Again, we probably want to filter down by the places where we're doing this testing for quality score, which again is where those filters become very useful. Now, once we've done that initial filter, often we want to say if we're going to create a bunch of ads, we need to make sure that we don't have an excessive number now. Because if you have an ad group with 12 ads in it, right, even if you've got some ads doing incredibly well CTR-wise, all the others are getting impressions. So just by pausing the poor performing ads in the ad group, you can see improvements in quality score. So we might just at some point in time just need to pause excessive ads. So here we can filter first. Then we can go to our tools and say pause ads, where I want to pause all the ads, leave 2 active in the ad group, and pause my lowest conversion rate, lowest CTR. And if I want to skip, maybe I really need to run an RSA or something, I could skip the pause in the RSA, and this would weed down the ads in the ad group, so that way I don't have excessive numbers. Then, right, once we have the same filter here, we could go to Tools and Create Ads. And this is a good way of bulk creating ads where we can just write our new sort of template or patterns we want to create. This CTA does better than this one, or we just need to know, should we use a price or a discount or a location or whatnot. Because you might be writing ads across ad groups, you can inherit data from the other ads. And then you could do a lot more with this tool, bulk creation, whether it's multiple ads, set up your multi-ad group testing, etc. And then this will set up our tests in place. So then we can create our tests from here, or we can go back to our multi-ad group testing and define our new test to run in here to understand the data of how these ad lines are going to affect our metrics and ultimately our quality scores. So once we've run our tests, we can always go through. If you're running it in a campaign or ad group, you could graph your quality score by any level, right? You need a little bit of data to see, as you made those changes, how did it affect your trends over time? And so from the quality score, we're often thinking about, right, is number 1, how's the account? Number 2, for each campaign type, right? Our brand, our non-brand, third-party brands, whatever your breakdown is. What's our quality score subfactors for each type? It's common to see them be incredibly similar across the account, where someone's got a brand, everything is green, and in non-brand, everything is a red or a yellow in some factor. Right, once we've isolated it for CTR, we're talking about pausing excessive ads, ad testing. Ad relevance, right? What we're really saying is if all the ads in an ad group are poor ad relevance, just pause the ads and create new ones that get better relevance. If it's a mixture, you can split up the keywords into ad groups with more appropriate ads. And landing pages is often either speed or changing content or switching the landing pages. So as you go through your normal workflow, right, you'll have some of these alerts just directly on your dashboard. So ad relevance or landing pages, you'll see some of these right in front of you. So you don't have to go off on an analysis. But if you're really focused on that quality score data, then keeping an eye on your trends, what needs to be done, analyzing what types of ads overall get really good metrics from a CTR conversion rate or CTR ROAS standpoint. Putting that ad testing in place and that workflow will help you maintain good or increase conversion rates while increasing quality scores. And then you can see how your changes are affecting your data. And that's how to sort of use this combination of tools across analysis to ultimately improve quality score while maintaining good conversion data.